Forget everything you think you know about Wild West saloons. Was it all just gunfights and poker? Or were these places surprisingly sophisticated social hubs? Prepare to have your perceptions shattered as we uncover the true untold stories of daily life, entertainment, and the fascinating dynamics that truly define the saloon era. Let's start by busting some myths. When you picture a saloon, you probably imagine a dusty room, swinging doors, and a piano player who stops playing right before a massive bar brawl breaks out. While conflict certainly happened, the Hollywood image of constant chaotic violence is way overblown. Gunfights inside saloons were actually quite rare. Most towns had strict ordinances against carrying firearms within city limits, and saloon owners weren't keen on having their property shot up and their customers scared away. The real roughness of saloon life was often more mundane. Think less about flying fists and more about a lack of sanitation. These were often crowded, smoky places with questionable hygiene standards. Spitting on the floor was common, and the air was thick with the smell of cheap whiskey, sweat, and unwashed bodies. The danger wasn't so much a stray bullet as it was catching a disease. But despite this, when a new town sprang up on the frontier, the saloon was often the very first business to open its doors. It wasn't just a bar. It was the instant social and civic center of a new community, a beacon of civilization in the vast, untamed wilderness. People were drawn to them for light, warmth, and most importantly, human connection. So what exactly did a saloon offer? Far more than just a shot of whiskey. A well-established saloon was a one-stop shop for the frontier. Of course, they served drinks, but they also served hot meals. For a lonely miner or cowboy, a warm plate of food was a luxury. Many saloons also offered lodging, with simple cots or rooms upstairs. They functioned as unofficial post offices, where you could pick up your mail. They were makeshift banks where you could cash in your gold dust, and they were even places where business deals were sealed with a handshake over a beer. And the clientele was surprisingly diverse. It wasn't just grizzled cowboys and outlaws. You'd find miners celebrating a lucky strike, businessmen networking, railroad workers unwinding after a long day, and travelers just passing through. In some more respectable establishments, you might even see families, especially in areas where the saloon doubled as the town's main eatery. Everyone from the richest cattle baron to the poorest laborer mingled under one roof. To keep this mix from exploding, there were unwritten house rules. These codes of conduct were crucial. You didn't talk politics or religion if you wanted to avoid a fight. You bought a round if someone bought you one. You minded your own business and treated the bartender with respect. He was often the one enforcing these rules, sometimes with a bung starter or a sawed-off shotgun kept under the bar. It was a delicate social dance, and everyone knew the steps. Now, let's talk about entertainment. Life on the frontier could be incredibly isolating and dull. Saloons offered a vital escape. The clinking of glasses, the murmur of conversation, and the lively music were a welcome break from the silence of the prairie or the clang of a pickaxe. The piano player is an accurate stereotype, and their music was the soundtrack of the saloon. But there were also banjo players, fiddle players, and sometimes even small traveling troupes putting on stage performances. Beyond music, gambling was king. Card games like poker, faro, and monte were everywhere. Faro was actually the most popular game of the era, a fast-paced banking game that was easy to learn but hard to win. Billiards and pool tables were also common fixtures, offering a different kind of friendly competition. But more than anything, this saloon was a social safety net. It was the original social media feed. It's where you heard the latest news, spread gossip, found work, or just shared a story with a friendly stranger. It was a place to combat the profound loneliness of the West. The role of women in saloons is also far more complex than the movies suggest. The term saloon girl often conjures a very specific image, but the reality was varied. Yes, there were sporting girls or soiled doves who provided companionship for a price, often in rooms upstairs or in nearby buildings. Their lives were incredibly difficult and dangerous. However, there were also women who worked as singers, dancers, and waitresses, known as calico queens. And importantly, many women were respected saloon proprietors. They were savvy business owners who ran their establishments with an iron fist, earning the respect of their communities and often becoming quite wealthy. Women like Molly Johnson and Deadwood were powerful figures in their own right. From an economic perspective, saloons were the engines of the frontier. They were often the most profitable business in town, generating significant tax revenue that funded schools, roads, and law enforcement. A thriving saloon attracted more people and more business, helping a small settlement grow into a proper town. What about the cost? A glass of beer might cost 5 cents, while a shot of whiskey could be 2 for a quarter. This sounds cheap, but when you consider that a cowboy's wage was about $1 a day, spending a quarter on 2 drinks was a significant chunk of his earnings, like spending $40 or $50 at a bar today. The whiskey itself was often called rot gut for a reason. Bartenders would dilute it, color it with tobacco juice, and even add things like strychnine or chili powder to give it an extra kick. Quality was not always the priority, and the gambling, it was a massive part of the saloon economy, but it was rife with cheating. Professional gamblers, known as sharps, used everything from marked cards and holdout devices to colluding with the dealer. For most patrons, gambling was a losing proposition, a quick way to lose a month's wages. The house always had the edge, and the odds were stacked against the average Joe looking to strike it rich. So what happened to the golden age of the saloon? Several factors led to its decline. The temperance movement gained incredible momentum, with powerful groups like the Woman's Christian Temperance Union campaigning fiercely against the evils of alcohol. This crusade eventually led to Prohibition in 1920, which effectively outlawed saloons overnight. Alongside this, social norms were changing. As frontier towns became more civilized, other establishments like private clubs, theaters, and restaurants began to pop up, offering alternative forms of entertainment and socializing. The raw, all-in-one nature of the saloon was no longer as necessary. But the legacy of the saloon endures. It has become a powerful symbol in American culture, representing freedom, rugged individualism, and the untamed spirit of the West. It's a setting that has been romanticized in countless books, movies, and TV shows, shaping our collective idea of what the frontier was like. It's a permanent fixture in our national storytelling. In the end, the Wild West Saloon was a place of profound contradictions. It was a sanctuary for the lonely and a den of vice for the reckless. It was a place where fortunes were made and lost in the flip of a card, where friendships were forged over cheap whiskey, and where the complex, messy, and vibrant story of America was written one customer at a time. It was so much more than just a bar. It was the heart of the Wild West. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this look into the real history of the West, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the past. Let me know in the comments what piece of history you'd like us to explore next.